Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is me, Chris, and of course, there wouldn't be a show without the Jimmy.
Getting faster and faster. I like
I
it.
know. I'm like trying
Chris
to
is
be like not consistent.
mix it up. Yeah, this is a different show. I promise.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I know it's been a minute since we kind of talked about anything. It's been a week since we did our last show. Um, but I gotta get your thoughts on this.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of a slow news time, so
It
yeah,
is,
not a
but the
bad thing.
one thing that we didn't talk about that I think it's kind of good that we didn't, that we kind of waited like maybe like a week or so to talk about it, or maybe a couple weeks really.
Was it
Uh,
the
it's
United
the
Healthcare stuff?
difference. Well, it's the difference between the reaction of Penny's acquittal and the reaction of Luigi, the dude who
Yeah,
killed the CEO of United Health Systems.
I think there's another difference to point out, but I'll get there.
Yeah, I just it's just amazing to me the amount of rage that this guy who, you know, by all accounts, I don't think there was one account in the trial that said that this guy, you know, did anything wrong when he subdued. Is the guy's name Neely, the guy who died? I think his name
Jordan
was.
Neely.
Yeah. Um, there's not one person on that train that said that he did anything wrong. And oh, by the way, you know, as part of the trial, they said that, you know, him holding him down was not the cause, ultimately not the cause of his death.
Mm-hmm.
But yet the rage is just, you know, 100%. Oh my God, white guy kills black guy, uh, and he was acquitted, so the system is fucked up.
Yeah,
When in reality, they were refusing to listen to absolutely anything that was said. And they're ignoring the fact that this guy was like a 42-time arrested criminal who had threatened to come, who, when he came on the train, threatened to kill people and said he wasn't, you know, he was going to go back to prison because, or he was going to go back to jail because he was going to start killing people on the train.
I don't know. He was pretty upstanding. I think he should have put his
Yeah.
mural
By New
right up
York
there
standards,
next to George
yes.
Floyd. Yeah.
Yeah. By New York standards, 100%.
Yeah,
Uh,
him and George Floyd need, have monuments built to
yeah.
their contributions to society. They're fantastic individuals.
Yeah. And then contrast that with uh, Luigi, whatever the hell his name is. I don't even know. I don't even know his last name. Uh, who clearly and blatantly gunned down a CEO of a company who, you know, so far there's no linkage between this guy and that health insurance company. There's no linkage that he had any, that he even had insurance with this company, or that he ever had a claim denied on anything. The guy had just had back surgery. You know, he comes from a very, very well to do, very rich family. I think I read something where he was scheduled to inherit $30 million from his grandmother when she passes away. So
Hmm.
even if he didn't have health insurance, it's not like he wasn't going to be taken care of. There's no linkage between him and this guy or this company that anyone has reported on yet. But yet they're celebrating the fact that he shot this father of two people in the, you know, in the middle of the fucking street in the one of the most major cities in our country, and they're
Yeah,
celebrating.
yeah. The celebration piece and yeah, people are not afraid to say the quiet part out loud in this case. Talking about effectively celebrating it, and then they backtrack it when somebody shows some outrage about it. But
Yeah,
they're saying that who was it specifically? I thought it was a congresswoman or something explaining, well, this is what happens when you push people too far, or
yeah, that was
whatever.
Senator Warren
Oh yeah,
came up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're trying to justify
Right.
that. It's crazy. It's like people trying to justify assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Like you don't if you don't agree with somebody, that doesn't mean that you should be murdering them and
Right.
it's justified. And that's what they're trying to liken what he does or represents as a CEO of United Healthcare as a murderer.
Right.
I think that is a major stretch. Like even if you have qualms with the system, and it sounds, I mean, to me, that's kind of more of what this represents. You make a good point about not having direct ties. So
Yeah.
did he was it an opportunity? Did he just find somebody that was kind of like that he could gain access to that represents this, elite level of healthcare, or was it very specific to that man and his and United Healthcare specifically? I don't know. That's an interesting, but I just I took it as this was a young, privileged, individual experiencing not just American privilege, but like a lot of personal privilege as well.
Sure.
And he's one of these brainwashed people by the system, by elite college, right? Didn't he was an Ivy League student?
Yep.
It doesn't say much nowadays, to be honest.
Right.
Uh, so I just think, yeah, he brainwashed and just was one of the little vigilante type. Like, hey, I'm going to try to do something about it. And what did you accomplish? I don't know. I mean, you got people on your side. There's a
Yeah. I
lot
mean,
of
he was
people out
he was
there
a he was a I
idolizing him.
believe he graduated with an engineering degree. Um, I don't remember what college he went to, but I think you're right. I think it was Ivy League. I think he went to Penn.
Mm.
Uh, and 26 years old, had a job. Probably didn't need a job, but had one.
Have you heard like his like health issues that um people have talked about?
All I know is that he, for 6 months, like his family didn't even know where he was. Like he kind
Mm.
of went off grid, and the family claims, now this is just the claims that they had no idea where he was or what he was doing, and all this. But uh, I think
So
it's. Go ahead.
some of the stories that I've heard was that he did face like serious health issues, even
Mm-hmm,
though he was a relatively fit individual, I guess.
mm-hmm,
But he experienced a back issue or like residual effects of a failed back surgery or something to that effect. And I think to even the point that it rendered him um, unable to perform, if you will.
mm-hmm.
I think he experienced problems or challenges. This is all hearsay or whatever from what just what I've heard. I wouldn't say it's fact, but this is
Right.
some of the hearsay and speculation as to what potentially caused his riff with the system at large, and then deciding to do something about it. But I mean, hey, these go ahead. Sorry.
But I was going to say, even if all that is true, you know what? He had to do a lot of planning to specifically go after this guy. This guy lives in Minnesota. He's the CEO. He's the CEO of the company. He lives in Minnesota. How did he know that he was going to be, at this, healthcare conference in New York? How did he know that at 6:35 in the morning this guy was going to be walking on the street? I mean, that takes a lot of planning.
All right,
Uh,
the murderer lives
yeah.
in Minnesota, you said, right?
No, the guy he killed.
Oh, that's interesting. But he was in New York at the time.
He was in New York for a health conference.
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely just assumed, without digging much into it, that he scouted for sure.
Yeah,
He was
had to.
scouting this individual, knew a pattern, knew where he would be when he would be there.
How did he know he
Um,
was staying at that hotel? How did he know what time he was going to be showing up for, the conference or leaving to
yeah,
go to the conference? I mean, so many questions about, or, why this guy specifically.
Well,
because
I
there's
mean,
no link.
definitely good questions. I mean, I think there's a lot of questions, and we've all kind of like gone along with some assumptions about, we don't even really even know for a fact 100% that he hasn't admitted to it, right? Like, I don't think they've.
Yeah, I think he plead not guilty, which is standard. Even if you're caught on video,
Yeah,
you know, a good defense attorney is going to tell you to plead not guilty. Um,
but there's weird stuff, right? There's like it's almost it was it's very sloppy but well executed, in a
yeah,
sense. Like,
yeah, he had definitely signs of both sides. Like he had signs of like being very proficient with a
right.
firearm, but at the same time being very sloppy in his escape.
Well, he was yeah, he had an escape plan. He executed the escape plan, and then yeah, like he was very sloppy staying hidden when he probably could
Mhm.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very strange. But signs of pre-planning with like the inscriptions on the bullet
yeah.
casings. Um, his outbursts when he got arrested.
Yeah, and
What
I'm
is
just
he even
wondering.
talking about?
I'm honestly just wondering if maybe he ended up shooting this guy, but maybe he just knew that the conference was being held there, and he just you know deductive reasoning. A majority of the people that were there that morning were there for that conference, so maybe it just didn't even matter who it was. It just happened
Sure.
to be this
Yeah.
guy. I mean, I don't know. We don't know those answers, um, but it kind of getting back to like my original thought on this is there's so much of a difference in the reactions to what are clearly two obvious things, right? You got the obvious self-defense and defense of others guy who gets acquitted rightfully, and there's outrage. And then you got a guy who blatantly murders somebody on a street corner, and there's praise.
Yeah.
I don't I just don't get it. I don't get where people, and I get it. I I mean, I can't sit here and say that if a family member of mine died at the hands of somebody else, whether it was justified or not, I wouldn't be pissed off and my feelings hurt about it. But I'd like to think I'm a little bit more of a realist than that, and I'm going to look at the situation and I'm going to look at all the facts that were laid out in the trial, and I'm going to come to a conclusion that I might not be happy that my relative was, killed, but at the same time, I'm also very, very real, and that, if they freaking were doing whatever the crime was that he was doing, or threatening to do whatever the hell it was he was threatening to do, you know, choices have consequences.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I just don't get and you see some of the same faces when it comes to Penny. You see some of the same faces standing up on the stage. You got that one attorney that it seems like every single time, you know, a black person is shot or beat up or killed or dies or whatever, it's the same black attorney. Doesn't matter what coast it happens on, he's there on the stage magically representing that family almost immediately. So yeah, there's probably some very scripted um, players that seek this type of stuff out. Um, and I will say on the Penny thing, the crowd that was in support of this quote unquote outrage over the verdict was not as big as we've seen in the past. But still, there was still people there, and they were still, they made death threats against Penny. Since then, he's had death threats that we're coming for you and all this shit. Which
Yeah,
guys,
we're
guy's a former Marine. Good luck.
we're in a weird place of society and culture, um, and largely due to the media, right?
Hundred
I think
percent.
I feel like because it's whatever spin they want to put on it. If somebody wants to turn people into victims and the basically like the underdog is what they
Mhm.
tried to make
Right.
uh Pe Neely
Neil.
out to be,
Yeah.
and then parading his dad after the trial, and "I miss my son." Well, guess what? Where were you when he was
Yeah.
alive? Like, I don't think you even knew the guy, like
Where were you during the other 42 arrests?
yeah, exactly, like, you contributed nothing other than we're obviously a very poor father figure, um, but yeah, the reactions are quite different when Penny should be praised
Mhm.
for actually stepping up and doing something about it. Um, I do have some understanding that people that are reasonable and are saying, like, look, yeah, I'm glad he jumped in and did what he did. But at what point does it become excessive? At what point did he maybe take it too far and unnecessarily contribute to his death? I think
Mhm.
there's maybe some valid question there. Kind of the same thing with Chauvin
Yeah.
and George Floyd. I mean, I feel like even though there's plenty of expert testimony explaining that Chauvin did everything by the book and he
Yep.
did exactly what he was trained to do,
Yep.
stuff like that. But he really got the book thrown at him. So I'm kind of surprised at the difference in the results and the reactions to
Yeah.
these cases. But
Yeah.
um,
It's just crazy to me, and I don't know. I mean, I think this was kind of like a to be honest with you, I think the Penny case was kind of a last gasp for the whole BLM movement because they didn't garner the support that I think they thought they were going to revive their whole movement. And
well, you got to pick a better case. You got to pick a case where there's
sure.
actual victim, actual racism, which you're not going to find. Like it's so
Right.
rare for
Right.
a case to actually have any sort of
Blatant
indication of
racism.
like
Yeah.
racism. Yeah. Um, so yeah, good luck. But yeah, I think that's been the reason for their downfall for sure.
Mhm. Well,
But
that and the fact that, the original leaders funneled millions and millions of dollars into, you know, properties and stuff in Canada so that they could run away and take all their donors' money.
yeah, they rode the hype, but nobody's buying their bull
Yeah,
crap
nobody's
anymore.
buying that shit anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So good. I mean, and I think over the next 4 years, you probably won't hear much from them. So
Nope. Yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting. I hope that is it feels like it's getting like with this change in the reactions,
mhm.
I think there's still a lot of cultural issues when it comes to uh race,
Mhm.
the I guess just the racial divides.
Sure.
I think that's gonna be a continued challenge because even maybe even supporters of Trump I brought this up on previous podcasts, and I think when we had some guests, but I would love to see the country as a whole, the nation get away from dividing everybody into the black community, the Hispanic community, the
Right.
Muslim community, and encourage integration between among these communities and
Yeah.
saying, we're working for the American people, all Americans, no matter their race, creed, religion, sex, whatever. Uh,
Unfortunately, until division doesn't sell, I mean that part of it probably isn't going away. As long as division is profitable,
it's
you're
mainly
always
only
going to have
profitable
division.
in the news market, right? Which is
Absolutely, it's profitable in the news market. It's profitable in these attorneys that sew a lot of this shit.
Mm.
Look at who was the kid that was shot by the cop, Michael Brown. The narrative by the attorneys for that, initially were, oh, he just pulled his gun out and shot this kid. Well, come to find out that shit didn't happen at all. he attacked the cop in his car, you know, and then there was a whole
After
different
he
story.
just
But
robbed
it was
somebody,
easier. It was
yeah.
easier and more profitable to spew that narrative because
Mhm.
you knew what you were going to cause. You knew you were going to cause that division, which was going to drag it on and was going to hype it up. It was going to make the news, go crazy. And that's exactly what they did. So until it becomes unprofitable to be divisive, divisiveness not going away.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think there's some other avenues to kind of like push against that, but um, yeah, because I think even people that are aligned, they play along with it and say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, we're going to support the black community. We're going to do this. We're going to, just even when people go on podcasts and they talk about, well, uh, I'm supporting Trump because I think he does fight for the black communities and support this. And I picked them out because they're the most vocal and the most like
Right.
divisive. But I feel like that, and I'm like, somebody needs to push back against that. It's not just the media. It's it's everybody that kind of plays into it and just and
Right.
isolates themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, we should we can celebrate people's diversity and differences for whatever, but generally, if they're inherent and not nothing you can change, um, we should
Well,
be.
and I'd say, why don't we get back to celebrating people's achievements
Yeah,
more than celebrating, where their ancestors are from, or I mean, that's great, wonderful. If you want to do that, you feel free. But as a society, we don't need to celebrate that stuff. Celebrate
sure.
achievements of individual people. Celebrate
Yeah,
achievements of groups of people. Okay, great. You're the black community. What have you achieved? What are your achievements that we can celebrate together? Hispanic community, what are your achievements that we can? White community, what are your achievements that we can
yeah.
celebrate? Let's celebrate achievements individually and as a group, vice, you know, making it always making it this black, white, whatever.
No, no, it should be kind of American pride, American patriotism, and uh, not necessarily supremacy, but maybe supremacy. Maybe that's the word for it. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we should strive to lead
Yeah.
the world and that kind and that unifying mentality of mixed cultures and strength
Well,
in
and
our.
don't be confused. I think we do lead the world in that just by virtue of what we allow, we allow as a country the most diverse group of people to come in and become part of this country than any other country in the world. You can pick, Norway, Sweden, basically anywhere in Europe, China, uh, go to a Muslim country and see how forthcoming and willing they are to allow non-Muslims to come into their country. Uh,
Right.
I, we clearly are the world leader in allowing diversity, but that shouldn't be a main focus to me. I guess is my
Yeah, I mean, if a first is it appropriate to say first generation immigrant? But a direct immigrant from China who becomes naturalized U.S. citizen is now an American, and
right.
I mean, if I immigrated to China, I don't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be considered Chinese ever. My
Ever.
children would not
You
be
wouldn't you
Chinese,
wouldn't be you wouldn't be allowed to become a Chinese citizen.
right? Yeah, yeah. No matter what, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway,
that yeah, so that is our strength for sure.
yeah. Hey, it's almost Christmas time. We're getting down. What are we? 7 days away.
Almost Christmas
Um,
time, almost 2025.
what's your what's your worst Christmas movie take?
Um, I would say I I don't even actually I'm not even sure what is it called, A Christmas Carol? No, no.
Oh, the
Um,
original, like Ebenezer Scrooge.
no, sorry. No, Christmas Story. Christmas Story, right?
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
I don't think I've ever watched it. Doesn't appeal to me at all.
It's
Christmas
like
Story.
when the 24 hours of a Christmas Story comes on, I'm watching it all day. And Megan hates it. The only Christmas movie Megan hates more than that is It's a Wonderful Life.
No, yep, that doesn't do. I mean, I don't know anything about that one either. Yeah,
That's a
no,
classic. You're gonna have to watch it. You're a movie buff.
yeah, yeah. It's like, but the old stuff. So
Hmm.
if it's old, it's usually nostalgia. It's not quality in a lot of cases. So,
Hmm.
I mean, some of my favorite movies I know are not like
Great movies.
cinematic masterpieces.
Yeah,
I just love them because I grew up with them.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'd be good. Some of them aren't. Some of them are worth. I mean, I show my children lots of movies from my era that I grew up with, and they love them. So there it is has the opportunity to be good, even if you never grew up with it. But yeah, that it's I think that makes it a little bit more difficult. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking just to make sure I get this date right. Let me make sure. Uh, 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 uh. 1951. So my favorite Christmas movie to watch, and I think I watch it virtually every Christmas Eve, if not Christmas Eve, like Christmas Eve Eve,
Hmm.
is the 1951 version of A Christmas Carol with what's his Alistair Sim is the actor in it that plays Ebenezer Scrooge. I have to watch it every year. I only have to watch it once, but I have to see it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I even know the actors in that. No, no. Yeah, that's going back, man.
That is going back. That's even before my time, and I still have to watch that movie.
Well, bringing it back to modern times, and I think we face challenges because there's so much more competition. I think it's more difficult to come up with something unique. Um,
Hmm.
and and really adapt to modern times without taking it too far. But I will give props to Red One. I don't think we've talked about it on here, but uh, the new movie Red One with The Rock. I went and saw it with family. Didn't have any expectations, which is how I like to. I usually get a lot more out of movies when I don't really even know anything about it, and I
Hmm.
just kind of take it in for what it is. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Hmm.
Had a good time. It was not super childish. It had kind of something in there for everybody, and a reasonably unique story. I thought they did a lot of things well. It's a rewatchable. I've already
Hmm.
like it actually came out on Amazon Prime for free already, which is usually a sign it didn't do well, but I think it's done really. It's still in theaters and doing well.
That's
Um,
funny that you say that because we had a conversation, I think, 2 days ago about that movie, how horrible the reviews of it were.
I haven't heard. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard
Yeah,
any bad reviews.
because I was kind of on the fence on whether I wanted to see it or not, but then like all
I
the
also
reviews I read were not good
Well, this is also why I like to go into it knowing
without
nothing and not
reading any of
hearing
that stuff. Yeah,
dumbass reviews. Like
yeah,
who,
yeah.
I
True. I
look
don't. You know.
if they're I take much more, uh, value in personal reviews, people that I know have
Hmm.
seen it, or people that maybe like have similar taste. But anybody that's usually critiquing a movie that I don't know, and they're somewhat of a professional critic.
Yeah.
Even I have a friend who basically joined I guess a group of bloggers or something that does just purely movie critics, and so you can tell that he feels compelled to look at it from this elite
Yeah.
movie, and
Oh,
professional
the
writing stand.
lighting in scene 32 wasn't correct, so the movie's horrible.
Yeah, it's just like, well, you have to
Yeah.
you're compelled to just critique things and not just enjoy it.
Right.
I don't know. And I'm pretty good about turning my brain off and allowing things. For example, I just watched the Carry On movie that's
Mm.
on Netflix.
Yeah, don't tell me about it because Megan and I are gonna watch it.
Yeah, I won't. I mean, it's TSA related.
Yeah.
So Leah texted me about it yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, I bet you know all about this." But I didn't. I hadn't realized it was out. I saw like an ad
Yeah.
for it yesterday, I think. Yes, I won't say much about it, but there's things you can pick apart is all I was gonna say, is
Sure.
like you can pick things
Always.
apart, but you have to understand that it's to make the movie work, you
Right.
know? You gotta sometimes you gotta cut corners or whatever, to expedite things or just make things fit, and I'll turn my brain off for that, it's fine, I don't need to pick everything apart. I love Harry Potter, but I can pick the heck out of that. I can pick it apart like crazy and explain why even not just like they messed this up, but the storyline is bad. I think Quidditch is the dumbest game. It makes no sense. The scoring or whatever for Quidditch makes no sense. It's dumb. The scoring for house points, dumb. Uh,
Well, and they don't really matter
do
anyway
better,
because
JK.
the headmaster can just change the points at whim anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, whatever. Turn your brain off, enjoy it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
exactly.
Don't think too much about it. Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
All right. Well,
Hmm.
yeah. All right. So next
Watch
week's
Red One. I
traditions.
want to hear what you got to say. Since
Yeah, I may very well do that. Just to, they said the same thing. The theaters uh, uh, were not kind to probably one of my favorite movies ever. And then I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it after the fact, and I absolutely love it. Is Man on Fire. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for the value
it,
that you need to put on like professional movie critics.
yeah, it depends on what kind of lens you're looking at it. All of the rewatchable movies. I don't know if you've ever listened to the Rewatchable podcast
Mm-mm.
with Bill Simmons and his crew. From The Ringer. But a lot of great, fantastic favorite movies that are rewatchable, and they talk about what rating they received, and almost all of them are like poor,
Yeah,
2 to 3 stars or whatever. It's not great
yeah,
ratings. I mean, some of my favorite movies. So
yeah.
it's just a lot of it's personal preference. So
Sure.
um, but, like, with Red One, I'm really glad I saw it in the theater. It was you know, also nowadays, most people can't even sit and engage with a movie for the
Right.
whole time without messing with your phone, getting up or talking to people or whatever. Usually somebody's distracted by phone that distracts you or something. So, it was very nice to sit there, and it engaged me the whole time. I was pleasantly surprised by that. So, I would
Cool.
say, I would even question people that talk about a movie and say, "Well, I didn't really care that much for it." I'm like, "Oh, because you just watched it at home while you were on your phone the whole time, so you
Yeah,
don't really
exactly.
know what happened. Maybe you missed very key parts of the storyline." So, I try to withhold judgment if I know I casually
Yeah.
watched the movie instead of. So, it's kind of where we are nowadays.
Yep. The phones are God.
I'll be honest. I'm bad. I'm bad at that. To be checking. Like, luckily, I can't take my phone to work or in my office. So, um, yeah, that it's so easy to just grab, check. It's just a routine. Keep up with
Yep.
things. What's the score of the game? What's the weather going to be? Blah blah blah.
How's my
Um,
fantasy football team doing?
yeah, yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Well, I made it to the semifinals, so we'll see.
I lost my quarterfinals. I was going into Monday night projected to win by 10. I had two players to his one player, and both my players crap the bed. It was Darnell Mooney for the Atlanta Falcons has been a phenomenal receiver this year. Caught 0 passes.
Yep.
Like, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Oh well,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Tough ending to a good season.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fun.
Yeah. So,
I
all
guess I
right.
can.
So we'll try to come back next Tuesday night, right before Christmas. And yeah, I hope I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. And man, I can't believe how this weekend's like already like almost here. Like I feel like I just woke up and it was Monday. But
Well,
we
yeah,
got
we're halfway
our
through.
last stretch of deer hunting this weekend. Well, for the next couple weeks, but yeah, it's been a pretty shitty hunting season too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But hey, we'll see. Maybe by next Tuesday we'll have a better story for you.
There you go.
All right, we'll see y'all then.
Yep. See ya.